What's good? It's D-Dot coming at y'all with another video. If this your first time here, this is kind of like my, fourth or fifth video. Just started posting Raiders content. I like to talk about topics going on within the organization or topics going on within the media, which this video is about. And show some support. Go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you have any topics you'd like me to discuss, go ahead and leave that in the comments. So today I wanted to talk about, on the First Take episode, which aired on September 9th, Stephen A. Smith actually said two things I wanted to discuss on this video. So the first being, they talked about the Raiders at Chargers, which is going to be on this coming Sunday, depending on when you're watching this video. It's the first game of the season. So during that topic discussion that they were having, Stephen A. Smith basically said, this has been a controversial topic over the years within the Raiders community. Derek Carr, being the starter for at least 9 seasons, has no playoff wins.
You got him as a top 10 quarterback. Congratulations to you, RC. I'm not saying you lying, but I'll be damned if he don't have to show us. We've been hearing a lot about Derek Carr. I mean, he's the polished individual. I mean, he's just a first-class individual. He's the face of a franchise. He does all the right things and says all the right things off the football field. He's in Sin City, Las Vegas, without committing any sins, apparently. I mean, he's the choir boy of the National Football League. You know he does everything right. Except win damn football games, particularly in the postseason. We got to find that out. And I'm not saying the brother can't play. He's not a scrub. He can play. He may very well be a top 10 quarterback. But he might be the first top 10 quarterback I hear coronated in such a fashion that hasn't proven it yet. I mean, damn. You got to show up. And you in the AFC West, Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, and Patrick Mahomes is your competition. Derek Carr might be that dude, or his ass might be in last place.
And I support Carr through thick and thin. There are a lot of things that happen over the years, which I think are underlying factors when you talk about some of the reasons that he doesn't have any playoff wins after 9 seasons. One of those, there was a lot of organizational dysfunction. And you could kind of go all the way back to the 2016 season when Derek Carr got hurt against the Colts. That game was pretty much won at that point. So there was no reason for Carr to even be in that game. With that being said, they still made the playoffs, and the opponent that they played in the first round was the Texans, who, if you remember that same season, they beat in Mexico City. So I'm not saying that they definitely would have won. However, I am saying that they would have had a better shot to win in the first round. So though Carr doesn't have any playoff wins over the course of his career, I always ask people, what did y'all want him to do? Get on the field with a cast on and throw the football? Like, what did everybody really want him to do that year? And then last year, they came up short. It was what it was. I mean, you could talk about a lot of different things that happened in that game versus the Bengals, but at the end of the day, they didn't get it done. They had a chance to get it done at the end. But I want to go back to the 2016 season for one moment. Another underlying factor which kind of led into the 2017 season was they went from firing Bill Musgrave, who, to me, the offense looked a lot better under in 2016. They went from Bill Musgrave to Todd Downing. And if you've been watching the Raiders since then, you know how much of a dumpster fire Todd Downing was as offensive coordinator of the team. There were also some other things going on. That was the season where everybody was kneeling, and they had that rumor going around that the offensive line had turned against Derek Carr. And, you know, I don't know if that was true. That hasn't been validated as far as I know. But I say that to say there was also something going on within the organization. Next, John Gruden gets there in 2018. He trades Amari Cooper. He trades Khalil Mack. he pretty much starts a rebuild at that point. So was that Carr's fault as well? And also, most people that are Raider fans could probably answer this question, but a lot of people that aren't Raider fans, you see, they talk about the 2018 season and the record that was, but they can't name one receiver that was on that team. Martavius Bryant, a washed-up Jordy Nelson, and then Seth Roberts and Martell Aitman. Waller came on the scene later that year, but he didn't play much. But that was a big rebuilding year. I think that year, 4-12, if I'm not mistaken. And then the following year, they started to kind of show some promise with the rebuild, getting Hunter Renfrow, also getting Moreau, Josh Jacobs. They went 7-9 that season. And if we forward on to last season, all the stuff that happened was not Derek Carr's fault. However, he rallied that team together, and they were able to make it to the playoffs. And I don't think with many other quarterbacks in the league, maybe a few here and there, but not many other quarterbacks in the NFL would have been able to do what Carr did in being that leader in the locker room that helped keep the team stable along with Rich Bisaccia to get the team to the playoffs. So I don't think there's many other quarterbacks in the league that is capable of doing that. Even within like the Raiders community, we can always debate that, but Carr may not have won many playoff games over the years, but it has not always been his fault that a lot of the organizational dysfunction has been happening. Now, my second topic that I want to discuss in this video is at the end of First Take yesterday, they were talking about, Molly was asking Stephen A. who's going to score the most points this weekend. Stephen A. then says the Chargers. And then after that, she asked him who was going to win the game between the Raiders and the Chargers. He then says the Raiders.
We've got the best division in football here. Chiefs at Cardinals, Raiders at Chargers, and Broncos at Seahawks. Stephen A., which team in the division will score the most points in week 1?
I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Okay, tell me why.
Justin Herbert, Williams, Keenan Allen.
Okay. All right,
Period.
I guess we got time
Ain't
for
nobody
one
stopping
more.
that offense.
We'll dive in deeper here. Raiders, Chargers. Who are you backing to win this one, Stephen A.?
I don't know. I'm going to go with the Raiders. I'll just go with that
What
right
a
now.
day,
I'll just go with that
everybody.
right
What
now.
a time to be
Shootout.
alive. Goodbye.
So I say that I bring up that topic to discuss a lot of, and I'm not singling Stephen A. out because it's a lot of, I would say it's more so a lot of these sports talking heads that never actually played in the NFL that I hear this a lot from, but you could tell when a lot of these analysts don't actually watch games. They don't know what's going on within the organization. So, like myself, yeah, I might watch a little bit of like First Take. I might watch a little bit of Undisputed and some of these other programs on TV. But the info that I usually trust and I usually rely on is from other like YouTubers that cover the Raiders and beat writers that cover the Raiders, because you could tell they put in the time. They're there with the team. They know what's actually going on within the organization. And some of these other media outlets, it's just that they're so biased against the Raiders. They run the same old narrative every year. Like, how many games did they pick against the Raiders last year? And it's going on, and we haven't played a game yet. The Chargers are obviously going to be the first game, so anything could happen. I do expect the Raiders to win. So, but what I'm saying is, a lot of times, no matter what, they're gonna mostly pick against the Raiders in a lot of these games. And I just think it's a big problem within the national media that a lot of these talking heads don't actually watch games. They come up with these hot take opinions that'll draw ratings or, get a lot of retweets online or likes or whatever, and just to stir up controversy. and they don't necessarily do their homework when they're covering the Raiders. They're very much uninformed. That's why I respect a lot of these other YouTubers that have been at it a lot longer than I have. I'm not necessarily like, for example, I'm not necessarily an X's and O's guy. I'll just talk about what's going on within the organization. But then you have a lot of these other YouTubers that they're really connected to the team. I just wanted to kind of bring up some of the recent happenings to talk about what Stephen A. Smith had said on First Take on the September 9th edition of the show. And did you watch the show? Let me know what you think in the comments. It's your boy D. Dot, and I'm out.